welcome back to Nightingale's Motorcycle Restorers and Metal Finishers. A couple of things I'm going to show you today in the workshop. One I've done, it's an exhaust system, so people, when they don't know about specialist coatings or what they can get done, it's a good way to see what we actually do. And then the other one is a frame which is off a 600 Honda, which I do loads of these, and there's different formats. So if you're deciding what shall I do with it, this might just give you some idea to either you take to someone local to yourself or come and see us. We're based in Scarborough, North Yorkshire, 01723 370 399. So we'll start first. I'm just going to do you a few drop down pictures of the exhaust, how we started to treat it, and then I'll tell you why we did it this way. Right, so you've seen the pictures, so there's a few things for this when it came in, and I'll show you a bit close up now because we've painted it. Again, it's in a ceramic coating, and what we've done is there's lots of blacks, but this one is actually a glacier black. I use loads of this. I also use one called a black velvet. This has just got a bit of satiny finish to it, but when you looked at the pictures or whatever, so what you've got is, when these things, if your bike's of age and it doesn't come to bits, like when I mean to bits, the exhaust into this box here, and you start riving on it, there's a good chance you'll snap them. So you can't get the rings off to spray them, because obviously you're trying to spray something with these things rattling round. So what I also, with this exhaust, is it was a chrome exhaust. It had lots of rust in here and right the way in. So you've got to remember, we're trying to not use any kind of preparation machine, again, not the word blasting, to take it off. So what we did with this, we soaked it in acid, and then I brushed it all in, left it 24 hours, took it off, assessed it, did it in acid again, and I got right the way in, because when you've got pipes which are fixed like this, we're spraying at a 0.8 nozzle, so it's down to like blowing the back of fins in. So that was the reason this didn't come apart. Now the next thing was, what you do as you saw on the drop down, I take the rings down, we put it through a very fine media, correct to take a ceramic coat. I spray the tops, I leave it, I get a bit of warmth on it, air cure this, not oven cure, and then we bring the rings up, spray the rings and then tape them, and then follow on after a few hours down the pass. And then, as you can see again in them pictures, getting in and doing things. So that's now had 24 hours. The rings are back up, so when we pull the rings back down, we're completely sprayed. We've sprayed it as a part together, because people have probably been trying to take, what do I do? Even if you're doing that at home with one of the famous, forgot what you call them again. They're like this. Oh, that one isn't actually. Rattle can, that's it. If you're spraying one of them things, that's the kind of thing you do when you can't get these out. Bring them down, paint them, put them back up, spray rings. So that's a lovely finish, that. It's like a bit of satin. We'll come around this side to show the front pipes. I think that looks nice, that. So that's finished, and that exhaust now is petrol resistant, brake fluid resistant, 625C, somewhere around there, and that's in a glacier. This one of my heads here, which is going out, this has had the valves done in another coating, which you may have seen on a video. This is a heat dispersant to get it away from the cam, but it's a nice colour to start with. That's a grey, and then that's the cam I've painted in ceramic coating. This is one of our heads we build up in the workshop here, and I put the bigger valves in and the eye lift cam in it, and then all the stainless steel bits on it. So you've seen them before. So right, so we'll go on to frames, and I'm assuming that sometimes some people don't know what they can get in different services. So that's the idea of doing this one, because I'm going to do it in real time and then bring it back in the video when it's finished. So we're going to have a look at that. So if you're at home and you've got something like this, or you're thinking of buying something, there's loads and loads of processes you do at home, or I do in the workshop, and I'll just go through a few now, depending what the substrate like, what damage it's had or anything. And let's just remember, first off, this is how this came in. They don't usually come in like that. They look like they've been on the bottom of the Titanic, and full of grease. This has been cleaned back because the gent had started polishing it at home. And you either kind of two things, because if it's natural coating, I've had these where I take them back and then they go off for this plating again. But we've had such good results on one of the processes we do with vapour, that it's quite amazing when it's done. So back to some of the processes. So at home you can think you can polish this bit out and your wells, and this bit of carriage here and the wells again. Then we go on to a frosty cast. So either you'll just clean them up, or you might even paint them out yourself. And then this goes to a cast finish, and you might again paint that out, or just comes up clean. And you think that's good enough. Now you either lose the will to live polishing this, because occasionally I do one for one customer and he has a few of these, and we bring these right up, and there's a lot of time on these. Then I vapour them off on this side, vapour this off. But it's all maintenance. It's okay saying lacquer, even a ceramic coating lacquer, but there's still time. I know the tank sits on it and you've only got this, but there's still awkward to get in, and after a few months, if it goes dull on you, it probably ends up with that finish. So the next thing, when I also get asked to polish these out, vapour blast these, or paint this. So if I paint these, what I do is I mask my line round the wells to that shape of the weld, because they're always a bit fancy on these. And then when I pull the tapes, I've got a nice finish, and we can polish the weld rather than taking the paint up to the other side of the weld. It just highlights it. Over the years, I've done other things when they've been really bad. I've had them, I've powder coated them, zinced them first, and then done the full lot. Obviously we're blanking bearing housing, so my media wouldn't hurt that, but I'll blank them up. This has got a plate on it, a nice frame plate on rivets, so I'll take them out and then I'll just pot rivet that back on, because we don't want to take anything off, because I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with this. So yeah, so we've had powder, ceramic, polished, people polishing them at home. And again, it just depends on the substrate. So this is a particularly nice one. So we'll move on to the swinging arm, because this is always the bugbear. Obviously, if it's not been thrown down the road or it's a race bike, get many of these what have come in, what have been repaired. You know, they've had a right slam. We'll go on to the swinging arm now. So right, so really, swinging arms get the brunt of everything, erosion, the lot. And as I say, sometimes people just bring things in. There's always say things like, it's not a show pony, but time is show different ways we do things, and your bike starts to look a bit bonnier. You tend to think you'll move to the next stage and ramp it up a bit. So this swinging arm, like most swinging arms, they're either heavily eroded on these tops, marks like this, and then obviously it's coating, original factory coatings come away. Remember, these have got lacquer on them, lacquer. It's got under it, and the erosion's got it, the salts or whatever. So my idea is with this is that, again, I've done loads of these in different things. I've done these when they're so badly eroded that I've zinc coated them in powder, maybe left the backs polished, maybe done a zinc powder coating, and then top coated them in a colour of a RAL colour, a powder coating. And you can have what you want, especially if you're doing something a bit custom built. And then what I've done is I've masked the lines off to here on that, and get the welding polished, polish the back ends out, zinc these if the erosion's that bad, and then this bit I might just vapour blast to the line, so it's a really blingy front end, a black or a coloured powder coating with a zinc on it. Now the reason I say about coating on erosion is because when we talk about ceramic coatings, we don't have the luxury of a base coat, undercoat primer. So you're spraying at such a fine, like when I do pistons or camshafts or them exhausts, it's such a fine coating. So you're trying to get your substrate immaculate. Because all this would do if you were ceramic coating it, it would highlight them even more. So again, when I come back to this for powder coating, when I've done these, the only thing I've found with powder coating on these things is because this is an etched mottled onto a polished or a smooth finish, you lose that kind of effect to the frame. There's quite a lot of holes in these, so you just got, because it's electrostatic powder coating, so you just got to get in again with the old Faraday, so you get right into the corners so you don't see any exposed stuff. It's a little bit faffing about, but the powder coating side, as I say, they tend to look like you've got in the bath with your wellies on, as I always say. Especially if you're zinking over as well. Zinking to hide things, you see. So back to that, you've seen the things I do, polishing, vapouring, painting out. The options are there for you at home as well. So back to this. So what the customers brought this in for is vapouring right the way around. So we're not worried about anything. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut this lacquer off with one of my mixtures of again, it's like talcum powder. Mixture of walnut, light oxide, and just a bit of glass in there on dry blasting. It'll take this off lovely, and then it'll highlight all the indentations, the craters. And I think what I'm going to do then is, and I'll put this to the bench, I'm going to take these back down a bit where you can see them to try and tidy this up. The sides are good, just a little bit. Because the erosion isn't that bad, because he wants this vapour blasting. So I'm going to mix a couple of glasses together, again, because I try and get this on, you're trying to get the bling factor, when I say bling factor, on vapour blasting, because we kind of mix the glasses for, if you haven't watched the channel, if you had a Laverda casing or an Harley casing, you're going a bit duller, or like an Amel carburettor. If we didn't soda blast it to get that old Amel look, we'd mix some glasses, dull it down a bit, and it'd be right for the year of the bike, or if you're a concourse restorer. But in this case, we're trying to get the bling, so we'll put a really high mixture in. But first, we've got to cut this lacquer off, all this off. Bit of degreasing to do, not much, because as I say, it's brought in. You don't usually get the luxury of this. Usually these are just full and look manky. So I'll do that. First thing I'll do is I'll put it in a dry blaster with the mixed mixtures. We'll take that off, we'll get it to a bench, start taking them back, because as we're vapouring it, it'd be nice just to, because remember that's no coating, it's just water, and we're putting a peen in it, we're closing it all up, so it'd be nice just to highlight it a bit, see if we can get rid of that. If you have a close look at that one with the camera now, if you can see it, it's quite deep is them, and they would show up as much as it would if you did it in a ceramic coating, because as I say, we don't have the luxury of a base coat. If we zinced it, we could tidy it out, take the lacquer off it now, prep it, gas it out, and undercoat that and powder it. But I can see what the guy's doing. He's kind of wanting that nice finish. The casting's really nice, and you get a close-up of this now, again of these two and the castings. I'm hopefully going to light these up the same with vapour, take that along for show time, and next thing you'll see is probably they've just come out and they're ready for a bit of surface treatment. So it's just genning you up on a couple of things if you're unsure, because a lot of people that come in the workshops, they don't realise everything finishers probably do in motorcycles. We are mainly motorcycles, we don't do any cars really. The odd part we might do. So right, we'll see in a bit, we'll get these done, and then we'll be back on with the swinging arm first. Right, so you've just seen a drop down of what I've been on about, showing you the marks, the salt marks and erosion into a dry blaster, ultra fine, taking the original factory coating off and the lacquer. So we've got it on the bench now. We are on another day, by the way, nothing to do with the time scale of this particular job. It's just we're running a bit late, so it's exactly what we're on track. So what I've done now is I brought it to the bench. You can have a very close-up look at this and see what I've done. I've taken them out, all the marks, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this to a polishing room. Now, the reason I'm doing that, though I've taken it down and I've taken the marks out, and then I've gone down on the tram lines with different grades. Sounds a lot, it's not a simple job. We'll put it to an hard wheel on a buffing machine, commercial machine, our polishing room, and we'll polish that, take it down, and it'll go to a polish finish, which then I'll bring it out and show you. Because what's going to happen here is a bit of contradiction, because a bit earlier in the video I said to you about the substrate won't be good enough to ceramic coat. Well, it isn't such a contradiction of what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is when we started this video off, it's what am I doing with the bike? So when a lot of people come in and just say with a horrible greasy frame, can you just blast that, mate, or can you just vapor blast that? Really, as you can see, the processes are degreasing. If you bring it in degreased like this one, it's a cost saving, because our machinery, our medias are immaculate. I couldn't put that in and just contam it up, you know, it'd be more than the job to replace it all. So when I look at a chassis like this, sometimes the majority of swinging arms are getting are so badly eroded, you could spend a day on this just getting it back, and maybe it still wouldn't be good for a ceramic coat, because again, with no baseline undercoat, it's straight on. So why am I doing this one? Well, within this, the time allowance on this, I can just take the erosion out because I can see its surface. I'm only doing the top, the sides were clean. Sometimes you get these in, everything's eroded. So when you vapor blast them even, it just highlights it really, but it's a lot cleaner, it looks good. But when we come to painting, that's where I say you might powder to hide it. So yeah, not going back on myself at all, it's just, what shall I do with my bike? But as I said, I think the magic cure is that they bring a greasy frame in and you just throw it in a machine and it blasts it and it comes out. It isn't, there's processes. So this one, because we're doing it in a full vapor blast, we'll see it at the end. And if I don't forget, I'll give you a price on this job as well, because that's the next thing I get asked in the comments, which is fantastic. I always ask, you know, curiosity. If you don't know how much these things are, to kind of get your project going, I can see where you're coming from, so you can always ask any questions. So I'm going to take this to the polishing room. I'm going to give this a polish. So this would be the same now when you see people wanting swinging arms polished. Everything I've done up to now would be the same coming for polishing, except we'd stay on this now and be masking everything off, because we don't want wax or anything on our nice bits. And as I say, if it was for polish, it might go bling polish, might be a satin polish, might be a polished and a clear coat ceramic lacquer on it. The weld's polished, and this could be vapoured or painted out. You know, this would accept the casting side of it, accepts the ceramic coat lovely, because it's kind of got a key to start with and it's got a mockly finish. So hopefully now, put it to the polishing machine, bring it out, let you see it blinged up a bit, and then we're going to kill it in a dry blaster again, ultra fine, and that'll be the preparation then to go to vapor blasting. So let's get it in the polishing room. So we're out the polishing room, and the only reason is when we talk about polishing, I'm just taking any remnants with an hard wheel and a good cutting wax just to take it off. Now this would be the same as if we was doing this now the work for you to have a polished swinging arm. So I'm kind of trying to blend in a few things. And the whole idea with this is, you know, when we say, well, you can do this, you can do that, it all starts off with someone saying, can you just blast this and degrease it? Well, to get this to this stage, you know, time and labour. Then if it was going to be for polishing, it'd be one price after that. Or if it was ceramic coated, you've got the ceramic paint as well. Remember, you start off with just, can you blast it for me and clean it back? So I'll show you the finish of this, and I'm going to kill this now. I'm going to take this to the dry blaster, so you have a bit of a close-up on this. We go with polishing, I do, to 1 to 10. So, as you can see, all the nasty craters are out, and you'd be well happy with that as a bling, you know. So yeah, so the thing is with that, if you're staring it for show polishing or sizzle polishing, you might, when I say sizzle polishing, on something like my CBX, the casings where it's not a bling, it's like a satin. Sometimes we bling it to this, then put in an alkaline to kill it off, clean it back, and then clear coat it, either a matte or a satin. So it wasn't ever bling bling. So on polishing side, we can go right up. This is about 4 or 5. You've got to remember when you do this, and I says, you can make these really pretty. You know, you could, as I say, vapor that out, vapor this out, have this polished at the side. But they all need maintaining. You know, it's all right polishing it, and then you need to maintain it. And if they're highly polished and not lacquered, it's maintenance. If it's lacquered, then you're still thinking, even if it's a good ceramic, it could come off with salts, or if you're using an harsh motorcycle cleaner. I'm not trying to tell you to suck eggs here, anybody, or invent the wheel, but I'll just give you see me in a professional machine, you know, 3-phase machine. But a couple of little tips if you're working at home when you bought yourself a bench top billy little thing. And I've got one here, an old school one. I've just put it on the bench just to show you, because I have some sharpening tools. But you can just whip the wheels like you'll get different mops. You might buy a kit with 3 different soaps in, waxes. The lighter they get, they're usually the finer for cutting. You come down the cutting tool, fine for polishing. But I'll just give you a couple of little tips if you're doing it for home, because what you might find is the issues you have at home is, again, slow down. You'll start with your hard wheel to start cutting the metal. If you've been before this with a sandpaper or a machine, you're trying to take the peaks out of the metal. That's what we're trying to do. So everything's you know, we're trying to take the peaks out of it. We're smoothing it down to get the shine on it when they're going about tram lines. So if you've got one of these little machines at home, what you'll probably find is when you're polishing, apart from turning to looking like a panda, you get drag because the motors aren't strong enough. Some of these old school ones, if you're ever thinking about getting a cheap one off a new site, the trouble is when you start applying pressure, the drag on you, and so you've got to watch you don't start burning metal and start picking it up, or if it's got magnesium in it, so you start slowing down. You'll have done it. You'll have 3 or 4 soaps, 3 wheels, cut, medium and fine, polishing mop. Only thing I'd say to you is a little tip is, if you're working from home, get yourself some lime powder and keep wiping the part down with a damp cloth, because your mops will stay a lot cleaner. When you get all the black in everything, the lime powder takes it off, and it's a good tip at home. Plus it gets some of the wax sticks and makes you drag on your wheels. So when you come back to your machine, if you just take one which you'd have probably 2 wheels on, you might have a cutting wheel and a buffing wheel, right? This one I've had years. I think I bought this when I was about 80. I've had it a long time. I'm knocking on a bit now. Only thing I would tell you, if you're ever polishing a part, you know, and again I'm trying to, you know, invent the wheel, take your centre line. This is an easy one, a tip to learn. Now most people when they're at home, they get a part and you see doing this, right? So what you're actually doing is you're cutting it and polishing it, cutting and polishing. You're not really getting anywhere. What you need to do is get the centre line and then put your part to it. And if you just remember this one tip, if you bring the part up from the centre, up, so work through your wheels cutting up, because what that does, if you just think this way, chin, cut, you're cutting the metal. If you think floor, polishing, right? So you'll start off on your harsher wheel, and then you go your middle wheel, and you'll move down to your soft wheel, and the soaps will get lighter, probably to a white soap even. Keep wiping with a bit of lime powder. A bag of this is nothing. You won't get everything black, and your parts will look a lot better, especially if you've got casings where they've got a lot of holes in it. You end up with waxing if you keep your lime powder on it. So just remember, cut the part down for polishing. The reason the centre line is what you don't want to do, and over many years, especially with that beast in there, I've lost things and wrapped my sen around it and my shoulder, and they can bite these things even at home. So centre line, if you go under, you see it'll pull you. If you go another way, it'll drag you. So centre line, up for cutting, down for polishing. It's a simple trick, but even if you've got the cheapest little kit at home, them little bars you get yourself some lime powder, and don't put the drag on it. As soon as it starts to die on you, everyone starts off cleaning them well and you're thinking it's great, but you soon get bored and pressure comes on. When you get some early like sandcast stuff, I've had people where you're on these smaller wheels and you get the drag, you start getting bullet holes in them, pitting. Well, it's not a case of keep going, it's irreversible. So that's when you stop. But that's just a quick tip. Centre line, cut, polish, and at home if you're doing some little jobs, it'll get you out the stuck doing it that way. So we'll move on, we'll put this in the dry blaster now to kill this, right? And then we'll put it in the vapour blaster. So let's get it in, show you how I've killed it back. I'll do a picture for that, you don't need to see a machine. And then we'll get the frame dry blasted. And then there's no work going to be done on the frame, as I say, coming nice and clean. And then we'll vapour blast it all. We'll set it out here, let you have a look at it. And if I remember, I'll give you a price on what we've done up to now on it. Okay, let's have a go. Right, so we're on the 12th today, Friday the 12th, coming to the end of this video. As you can see, you've seen drop down pictures of when I've polished it and different things we can do. The back in the dry blaster and back into the vapour blaster. So then we brought it out, identification numbers, all there, still nice, tapers all masked off as it comes round. Actually, it looks like I painted this. Very close to a ceramic colour this, the star silver we do. Comes down, goes onto the cast effect, look. Still got the original mocklin and everything. Inside done, the swinging arm from the casty part to the repairs I showed you doing on top. So when you stand back at all and look at this frame, all finished. The price of this, £170. If it's in for degreasing as well, you're looking at another £50. We expect a bit of degreasing, but sometimes they come in just thick clagged, so you can save a bit then. And that's including that little bit of light repair. So overall, great finish. I'm really happy with that. I think it looks lovely, that, when the bike gets sat with tank on and everything. And then all that needs is some neutral detergent washing up liquid to maintain it. It's peen now. It's all sealed up, and that's all you'd have to do. It'd be a waste of time lacquering that. Really would. It'll maintain that finish for a long, long time. So, as I say, with the next video we're going to do something again which we've bringing up from the past, some chrome powder effect. Now I did do, over a few years I've done a few of these, but you get the occasional sausage on the channel. It isn't chrome. Well, I tell you that for starters. What we're trying to do is, if you're building a custom bike or you want a stand doing or a little bit different, we've come on in the chromates of powder effect. It's another one I've got in yet again. There's a little bit of different process for putting this on, and how I've played with it over a few years. We haven't really put it out in the open market. I've done a few bits. I think I'll do a motorcycle wheel, but it's coming on better. So that's powder chrome effect for the next one. So we're coming up to the weekend now. We live in Scarborough, North Yorkshire. That's where we're based. We've got Oliver's Mount Racing on this weekend. If you're coming through to Scarborough, many people will know the circuit very well, and people of my age of the 70s, 80s with Barry Sheen and Mick Grant. That's what it was famous for in them days, and Steve Parrish. Fantastic racetrack, a good event, well organised, and a shout out to all the marshals and the organisation what goes into these circuits, because we've got everything, especially being again the seaside. We've got, you know, mist coming in, leaves, we've got everything dropping on the track, 3 or 4 seasons in one day, and they get the track back out in the event of bad weather, which we've had a bit this year, and you know, there's a beer tent and all the rest of it, the clothing stores, food, a good event. So that's Scarborough this weekend, so we're looking forward to that. Next week, as I say, powder coating in chromate, based in Scarborough, North Yorkshire, 01723 370 399. You can always speak to me on the phone if you've got any of these projects after 3, because my machinery goes a bit quieter then. And until the next one, I hope you like this. I think that's a mint finish. That'll be well happy with that. And I'll see you on the next one.